What's going on? Is Anton from antondaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. After I seen this Iman Shumpert, Teyana Taylor divorce, it's a subtle reminder to us men, not to me in particular, but a conversation that you and I need to have to remind you guys that women are in business and men are in love. Women are in business and men are in love. At the end of the day, you need to make sure you take care of your business before you start having a conversation about how much you love her, what you want to do for her, whether or not you want to take her off the streets. She can quit her little McDonald's job and all of this other stuff, because you will absolutely pay the price, and then they will justify it by saying, but I've been here for you, or this is the lifestyle that you've afforded me, whatever, so on and so forth. And it's funny because it almost seems as though the revenge of the simps are really coming to pass. They really coming to fruition. I'm seeing so many guys that's looking to fill the shoes that was left by so many great men before them that sold to women, and then at some point, ultimately reverted back to being just like everybody else and the nature of what men are. But the reality is, it's a lot of guys out here that's pandering to women, and you can tell because all you got to do is look at the women in their comments that's saying, yes, may this type of love find me. Yes, why can't more men have this mentality or whatever? And most of the time, them niggas be fucking other chicks and all of that stuff anyway. But the reality is just that, we have to be very, very vigilant and taking care of business for ourselves before we start having a conversation about what women, can do for us and why we should marry her and take her off the streets and, allow for her to not ever work and her being a stay-at-home mom and all of that. Listen, throw that all away for now, because that is the step after you already on top of things and taking care of business and you establish cultural norms and you vet it effectively. We got to get to the starting line to begin, all right? And culturally, because I may be in a space where I've been married successfully for a long time and I've been able to build wealth, and I also have my wife work for me, and my daughter is ultimately in a space where she will work for me and all of this stuff. So, I did it so that you can then take the blueprint and focus on, running it up, but you can't skip steps. You cannot skip steps. I heard a quote today that said, men will sacrifice everything for their family, but women will sacrifice their family for themselves. And it's absolutely true. For their own happiness, they will sacrifice their family. I've heard women say things like, well, if I'm not happy, how can I be there for my children? Meanwhile, we make sacrifices every single day. When you go out there into the world, right? When you go out there into the world, and that's Canada, maybe not that. Let's go back to the Michigan and Detroit. When you go out here into the world and you over here killing yourself every single day, because don't get it mistaken, we trade in our time for money so that we can use that money to do the things that we're supposed to do. And I've always looked at life as a calculation and determine if I should even have certain people in my life. So let me give y'all a refresher and tell you what that calculation is. There are 8,760 hours in a year. Divide what you make by 8,760. If you make $100,000 a year, $120,000 a year, somewhere between that, I think that's the equivalent of like $11.20 an hour or something like that, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. My math is a little bit rusty, but it's like $11 and something cents an hour. And that's whether you sleeping, whether you awake. That is the value of your time. Some people will dispute it. Some people will dispute it and say stuff like, but no, that's not the time that you're actually working. The value of your time, you as a person, is $11.20 an hour, right? It goes up, it goes down, depending on, whether or not you're making more money, so on and so forth. Doesn't matter if it's passive or none of that. Most income, 99% of income is not passive. That's a bullshit lie that they're selling you to sell you some courses anyway. But that is the value of your time. 80,000, 90,000, 100,000, whatever. So for me, if I'm in that space, I'm gonna spend the majority of my time trying to increase the value of what it is that I'm making, or what my value is every single day. But let's then now say that you want to take that money right? The money that you traded in your time for, because that's your real currency, is your time, because you got a limited amount on this earth. All of us got an expiration date, and so we got to make sure that we use it wisely. So let's say that you go and you work or 30 hours of your life, let's say 48, let's say 2 days of your life would then generate you around $500, right? And then you go and you trade that in order to entertain a woman just so you can try to get some box. That means you traded 2 days of your life in to impress a woman that got you listed in her phone as food. And this is why you have to vet more effectively. So I don't just like to identify the problem, I also like to give you guys a solution. So the first solution for your problems, and that you won't find yourself at the behest of a woman that's taking half of your shit, is you gotta stop dating down. Men have notoriously always been visual with their eyes, and so they focus more on what it is that they see instead of focusing more on what's going to happen to them long term. You cannot, under any circumstances, if you are successful, and this goes for guys that's even messing with chicks that they don't even, you know what I'm saying, feel as though they're gonna stick around with and all of this stuff, is stop dealing with dusty women. Because if you're dealing with dusty women, then you are going to get dusty results. And she's looking at it from the lens of, well, I don't have anything to lose. And he's operating from the perspective, unsuspectingly, that he has everything to lose, and he don't even realize it. And that's how you find yourself paying these crazy alimonies and child supports and all of this stuff, is because you are dealing with a woman that is not on your level financially, mentally, emotionally. You are dealing with a woman that you got to bring up, and we don't improve her for the next guy. That's number one. Number two, all right, pay very, very close attention. For all of my guys that ain't there yet, so we not all rich, we not all balling, we not all of that, and whatever, so on and so forth. Here's another key, is that a lot of times we will justify, you know what I'm saying, dealing with somebody because you just got potential, right? And you hear how women say stuff like, don't date potential and all of this stuff. The reality is this, is that you have to make sure that you are aligning yourself, and this goes not just for romantic relationships, but also for, you know, personal relationships, your inner circle, your social circle, your network, and all of that. Stop aligning with people that are not going in the direction that you're going in. When you're dealing with a woman, when you vetting a woman for potentially being a wife, you have to vet her for where you're going, even if y'all both in the same space, even if you are not yet there, even if you're still in school, even if you're still hustling, even if you're a really young guy. You have to evaluate women based off of where you're going, not where you're at. Because you will get up to here. Your earning potential as a man doesn't even exceed its capacity. You don't even reach the apex of who you are as a man until you in your late 50s, early 60s. But you picked a woman that was where you at the time, thinking that it was going to be conducive because y'all was on the same level, instead of focusing on whether or not that's the type of woman that you're going to be able to take into the boardroom, whether or not she's going to be ghetto for the rest of her life, whether or not she's going to be a hood booger or a hood rat and all of that. And so you got to start looking at people and vetting them based off of where you're going to be at 10, 15 years from now. And especially if you're looking to get married. If you're looking to marry her, you definitely got to vet whether or not she's a person that you want to be with 10 to 15 years from now. And again, I'm not talking about love. I'm talking about whether or not it's going to be painful for you financially in the future if y'all decide to part separate ways, because it has to be mutually beneficial. It can't be something that you're under duress for. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you have to look at these things, and we'll go through all of the different other things that you need to vet for when you decide to do this. But I'm just telling you that women are in business and men are in love, and you got to be careful on who it is that you align yourself with, because it's going to translate into it being very, very, very painful for you if you're not paying attention. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm about to get ready for the Millionaire Morning Show. I might do it from home today. Fridays, I usually do it from home. But anyways, I love you. I appreciate you. Send this to your family and friends. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. I'm going to holler at you later. Peace.